Cyborg takes on Felicia Spencer in the co-main event of the worst pay-per-view card of the entire fucking year. Okay, we're talking without Holloway or versus Edgar. This would be a fight night, okay? This is a fucking fight night, and a shit one at that, but we're going to talk about Cris Cyborg versus Felicia Spencer. It's a good fight. It's one of the very few good fights on this card, and I'll tell you this, guys. When people first heard that this fight was announced, okay? They sort of, and I know you guys felt this too. When the people first heard this fight was announced, you know what they said? Oh, another victim for Cyborg. Then do you know what happened? Then they released the fight on YouTube between Cris Cyborg and Yana Kunitskaya, and people kind of realised, hang on a second, Yana Kunitskaya is a bantamweight, and she did that to Cyborg and almost took her back, took her down with ease, held her down for quite some time, and then they sort of went, maybe this is a little bit tougher, and a bunch of people put their money on Felicia Spencer. I'm not going to put my money on Felicia Spencer. I'll tell you that much for sure, because you know what I know? I don't rate a fucking win over Megan Anderson for shit. Okay? She looks the part in female MMA, so she gets gifted tin cans on her way to the UFC, and then gets out-grappled by a bantamweight Holly Holm. Okay? If Holly Holm is holding you down and out-wrestling you, I know Holly Holm's very good. If a bantamweight Holly Holm is out taking you down and out-wrestling you, you know, Felicia Spencer's going to do the same thing. Megan Anderson's only good win in the UFC has been from an injury to a toe poke to the eye, taking John Jones to a new level. You know what I'm saying? John Jones uses his fingers. Megan Anderson said, you know what? I'm going to one-up you on that, John Jones. Eat these toes straight in the eye, and they stopped the fight to an eye injury. I don't rate Megan Anderson, man. I think she's a girl. She looks the part. She's got big tits. She's tall. She's sexy. So they give her tin cans, feed her the way up. And the thing is, at featherweight, there's no standards for the division yet. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. There's no brackets in the division. You know? When you look at lightweight, you see, alright, these are the top 5. They can probably beat each other any given night. There's obviously levels to the top 5. But the top 5, any fight between them might be somewhat competitive. Okay? The top 3 even, let's say. Then you go 5 through 10. And this is any division. 5 through 10, right, they're probably not going to beat the top 5, but any fight between them is going to be interesting. Then 10 through 15, and so on and so on. There's none of that in the women's featherweight division because there's about 7 fighters in there, and half of them are bantamweights looking for a free title fight after one win. And that's the truth. Okay? And I also feel like Yana Kunitskaya is a very good fighter, and I think Cris Cyborg's going to pull this one out of the bag, I'll be honest with you. Cris Cyborg gets this one done. Okay? I like that Felicia Spencer beat Megan Anderson. I don't rate Megan Anderson as an opponent at all. Okay? Yana Kunitskaya, after losing to Cris Cyborg, by the way, who's a bantamweight, moved back down to bantamweight and has now won 2 in a row dominantly. Okay? She's not some schmuck that Cyborg beat and then went on to lose some fights at bantamweight. She's come in and she's won 2 fights at bantamweight dominantly and shown that she's, oh hey, this is a legit threat for Cyborg. Now, the motivation for Cyborg before the Nunes fight, in my opinion, was rough. It was rough because, you know, you're beating everyone. They're bringing up bantamweights to fight you that barely have any credibility. And you're kind of like, oh, just go and beat this girl then. And all of a sudden you're on your back and she's taking you down and you're panicking. You know, I feel like the motivation now for Cris Cyborg is going to be at an all-time high. But I'll tell you this, it's a very close fight. I'm not making this Cris Cyborg decision very easily. Okay, maybe before I rewatched the Yana Kunitskaya fight, I would have said, oh, easy Cris Cyborg. Who's this fat? I'm not going to go into insulting anyone right now. Who's this girl that Cris Cyborg's taking on next? Obviously, she's going to whoop her. But now I'm thinking to myself, this is a very close fight. I do think Cyborg's going to get the job done. I think she knows who she's up against. You know, for sure she's going to be training her grappling the fuck out of. I'll be surprised if she hits a pad this entire fight. And I'll tell you this. MMA math is very important at women's featherweight because there's nothing else to go off of. Okay? There's nothing else to go off of. You look at what Holly Holm did to Megan Anderson. You look what Cyborg did to Holly Holm. You know? There's just levels, I believe. And I think there's Cyborg Then there's everyone else. I would not be surprised if Felicia Spencer goes in there and gets the job done. I just don't see it happening, man. I struggle to see it happen. And also, Felicia Spencer, she finishes Megan Anderson in the first round. But her fight before that in Invicta against a girl who's not in shape, not a legit threat whatsoever, she took it all 4 rounds to get the finish. You know? So it's really just a weird one, to be honest with you. Like, there's no set standards and there's no understanding of who's going to beat who. I just feel like Cyborg's proven herself. Obviously, she lost to Nunes. The motivation's going to be back. I need to fucking redeem myself and get that Nunes rematch because I know I can beat her. I'm sure that's what's in her mind right now. She's got Jason Perillo with her. She's got a good fucking camp. You know, I just feel like Felicia Spencer, one good win over Megan Anderson isn't enough to sell me on you can beat Cris Cyborg. It would be a good underdog, which I don't think she is. But if she was a huge underdog, and I'm talking like, how big of a huge underdog? Like Anthony Smith, John Jones kind of underdog. I would actually pick Felicia Spencer here. But because it's so close, I'm going with Cris Cyborg. There's no money to be made. If you're a betting guy, you shouldn't put your money on Felicia Spencer because the odds have been a lot more close now. But if she was a huge underdog, I'd say, you know what, put £10 on Felicia Spencer. But as it's so close, don't even bother. You know, it's a 50-50 fight. I think Cyborg gets it done. 60-40 in my opinion. And I think she walks away with the early finish by KO. I've seen Felicia Spencer striking. Embarrassing. Very fucking embarrassing. Okay? And Cyborg's going to embarrass her come next weekend. Or this weekend, sorry. Cris Cyborg first or second round KO. And then we get to see a Cyborg versus Nunes rematch at 45. Which is the only real interesting fight left in the women's divisions because Jermaine Durandamy doesn't fight anyone who she might be an underdog against. And that's how it works. Like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Goodbye. Click that. See you later.